opening procedures, we'll continue to work through the translation.
All right,
Una disculpa, estamos teniendo dificultades técnicas con la interpretación. Gracias por acompañarnos y por su paciencia.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to speak roll. Please indicate your presence, even though I'm quite personally, I don't know that the audience knows you, so please indicate your presence. Mr. Gosney?
Here.
The next one is myself, James Sanders. Summer Sigler
Is no longer on the committee.
Arthur Rantila,
Here.
Nicholas Crescenzi.
Present via Zoom.
He's on Zoom.
He's on Zoom. Maureen Toms,
Here.
Sean Kellogg.
Present.
I'm going to be my very best on this. G, you,
Yeah.
please help me.
Okay, Jie,
Once
Jie,
more.
yeah, Jie,
Gia,
and Jie.
Gia, okay. And Eli Moore is here. Speak up for the microphone, please.
Here.
Thank you. Kevin Macarian.
Here.
And Pedro Arredondo. Agredano. Now I put the consonants in the proper place. Thank you very much. All right.
Mr. Sanders, I just make a request, especially since I'm going to be looking over the videos. Make sure everybody speaks loud enough so that this can pick it up. That we're not just talking to each other, we're talking to the microphone. And something when we speak softly, it just doesn't come out. So any help you can give me, I'd appreciate it.
Any questions? All right, Mr. Rentila, would you please read the committee and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Flags are on.
So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. For the record, the meeting is starting at 6:10. Yeah. Oh, let's see, I'm moving down here. With respect to, I'm just going to read things from the agenda. Committee meeting agendas are available for review at the Facilities Operations Center at 1400 Marina Way, Richmond, California, 94804. And at the District 711 Committee webpage. Oh, my word. At wccusd.net, departments and areas, facilities, dash planning, dash construction, / / 711 committee home. Documents that are public records will be made available for public inspection at the district office located at 1400 Marina Way South, Richmond, California, 94804, during regular business hours. In addition, such writings and documents may be posted on the district's website when the agenda is posted. The District 711 Committee webpage, which I just read, our meeting location is 1400 Marina Way South, Richmond, California. You can attend the meeting in person. The meetings are also broadcast via Zoom using the following link. By computer, please click on the link below to join the webinar, which is wcc.zoom.us/J/952-674-96270, or by telephone at 1+ the US code 669-444-9171. Our webinar ID is 952-6749-6270. Participating in committee meetings, the public will have different opportunities to address the committee. The committee can address the committee, the public can address the committee during public comment and before an action or discussion item. The public can provide public comment in person through the Zoom app and by telephone. Public comment will last approximately 10 minutes. The time allotted for each speaker is 2 minutes. If you are attending the meeting in person, you will need to submit a request to address the board form to indicate your desire to speak during public comment on a non-agenda item before the item begins on an agenda item. If participating via Zoom, you will need to raise your hand by clicking on the appropriate icon in the Zoom app or by pressing *9 if accessing the meeting by phone. No yielding of time or substitution of speaker is permitted. The public will have an opportunity to make public comments on agenda items after the presentation for each discussion and action item. The time allotted for public comment on each action or discussion item and items not discussed on the agenda will be no more than 10 minutes and 2 minutes per speaker. Due to the Brown Act, committee members cannot discuss items not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. Special accommodations upon written request to the district, disability-related modifications or accommodations, including auxiliary aids or services, will be provided. Please contact the facilities office at 510-307-4545 at least 48 hours in advance of the meetings. The order of business may be changed without notice. So, and they did the call to order at 6:15. So now I have to read the land acknowledgement. We recognize that we are present on the lands of the Chochenyo, Muwekma, Karkin, Ohlone peoples, and acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we currently occupy. The labor and body recognition. I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls on the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I also acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of survivors over the centuries to today. Of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as the United States. And the author of this is Dr. Rochelle Rogers Ard. Now, if you will, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented in your packet.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes,
the next item is the introduction of the committee members.
I was going to get the agenda. Well, okay. Excuse me. I have seen everyone's application, but not everyone here has seen everyone's application. So a number of you have exceptional professional backgrounds, and it would be nice to hear your own description of your own background and why you applied to the committee. If we can do that in as few sentences as possible, you might spend a moment composing what you wish to say, and I'll go around the room. Shall we start with the more senior member, Mr. Gosney?
If you'd like. Don Gosney, been living here now for 72 years, born and raised. Been with the district one way or the other for the past 58 years. I actually attend almost every single board meeting, served on quite a number of committees over the decades. I've got 56 years of experience in heavy construction and land management. I'm well versed on surplus properties and what can and cannot be done with them. To keep it brief, I'll stop there.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maureen Toms. I recently retired from Contra Costa County Department of Conservation and Development as a land use planner. And I worked on, my last project was the county's housing element, which includes 2 of the sites that we're going to be discussing. And I've served on the CBOC for 6 years over the years, and also have developed numerous affordable housing projects on behalf of the county.
And could you tell us what the acronym stands for, CBOC?
Oh, sorry, the Citizens Bond Oversight Board
Committee.
Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jie. Actually, I'm from China. I'm not born here. But I have I have a PhD in urban planning. I got my bachelor, master, and PhD degree in urban planning. So I'm very familiar with zoning and also very familiar with site design or yes, the land design and the land use, also the public facility planning. Actually. So I'm very pleased to make some contribution to the school district with my knowledge. And also I'm a parent of the student in Harding Elementary School. Yes, also in this school district. So I think I can make some contribution.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Rentillo.
Well, I'm a retired millwright, 35 years. We've worked on industrial, commercial, residential. I was a supervisor for the Millwrights Union Local 102. I'm also the chair of the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council and the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council, where Harmon Knolls is actually located. And I'm also one of the board of directors for West County Wastewater.
Thank you. For the new members of the committee, he just referred to one of the sites, which is Harmon Knolls. Sir?
My name is Sean Kellogg. I'm a parent of a fifth grader at West County Mandarin. I am a homeowner. I have been involved in building laboratories, not in this county, but in Alameda County. So that's my sort of experience when it comes to construction and zoning. But I am not nearly as versed as some of these folks. So I think there's a lot for me to learn, which I'm excited about.
Very good. Well, I'm James Sanders. I was elected chair of the committee back in 24 and continued in that role while we were in suspension. My background. First career was as a peace officer in the city of Berkeley during some rather interesting times. And I ended that career as the director of crime prevention for the city police department, conducting neighborhood organizing meetings, surveying businesses and residences for purposes of safety, and helping people build safe communities. Following that, a more significant career was as a county assessor, both for Alameda County and Contra County. In Alameda County, I dealt with personal property and things that floated or flew. And in Contra Costa County, I dealt with real property. And thereafter, I became a teacher of mathematics and served at a number of schools in this district.
Or Ball. My name's Kevin Markarian. I'm an architect of 25 years. I've lived in El Cerrito since 2012. I'm a principal of an architecture firm that specializes in multifamily housing. My recent projects include 110 units of teacher and workforce housing for the city of Berkeley, which is under construction right now. I live in El Cerrito. I'm also responsible for the 700 unit master plan at the El Cerrito Plaza BART station. And we have our first building under construction. That's 70 units of affordable housing on what was formerly unused parking lot, basically, and still somewhat underused. What else? I have two kids in the school district in El Cerrito High and at Kensington. Yeah, I'm also a business owner.
Very good. Pedro?
Hi, my name is Pedro. I went through the school district, starting from second grade all the way till I graduated. I have lived here for over 50 years. I'm a property owner. I also worked for the district for about 10 years. My current position is HVAC mechanic. I see the issues and the burdens that some of the vacant properties pose on the district's budget. And also some of the liability issues that can be produced by those buildings that are staying vacant.
Eli, all right. I'm Eli Moore.
I'm a parent of two kids in the district at Mira Vista and El Cerrito High. I work at the Othering and Belonging Institute at UC Berkeley. Work focuses on housing policy, economic development. I've worked on policies that the city passed in Richmond, the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority, and some state level work. Mostly around community benefits and policies related to that.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Anderson.
I'm Phil Henderson. I am actually legal counsel for the school district, Owaka and Henderson. I have been working with West Contra Costa Unified School District off and on for probably 25 years in one capacity or another, and as their facility, property, and construction lawyer mainly. And so I'm here to provide a little bit of guidance and do a presentation for you guys.
Thank you.
Ellen Mejia Hooper, Director of Facilities Planning and Construction for the school district. My normal day job is handling the projects in the district that involve architects and contractors, kind of beyond the and separated from the M&O staff. And I did want to ask a question, maybe to both of you. Nick is online. He is one of the members. Could we go ahead and let him do his introduction?
Yeah, he can do his introductions. Yeah.
So, hi Nick. Do you want to unmute and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Nicholas Crescenzi. I'm a parent of two children, one who is currently at Ellerhorst Elementary, and the other one will be attending TK next year. I'm a homeowner in El Sobrante, and I work as a parks supervisor for the city of Daly City.
And then I'd also like to give an opportunity to Trustee Hernandez, who is the liaison to the board for the committee.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Cynthia Hernandez. I am the school board trustee for Area 3 and the liaison for the 7-Eleven committee. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
And then Jeff Carter, who is busy working on our technical difficulties. And I'm not going to know what his current title is, but he's in charge of business services and finance. And he is also part of the district staff supporting this committee.
Is Jeff in the room?
He's right back there with the translator.
Fine.
We're trying to get the Zoom worked out. I would like to acknowledge that Trustee Smith Folds is also present online. That is not technically the liaison to this committee.
Very good. All right, well, so that was item A3 on the agenda, but now we have the approval of the agenda, which is item A4. So, the chair would entertain a motion to.
I'll move approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
So it's been moved by Ms. Thomas and seconded by
Mr. Kellogg.
Mr. Kellogg, that the agenda be approved as presented. Are there any objections?
I have a question.
Question?
Is it possible to add things to the agenda?
It's possible to remove things. I don't know that it's necessarily possible to add things because they have to give notice before we publish the agenda. So there's a 72-hour
We cannot add
requirement.
items to the agenda.
Okay, so it's just a question of whether or not we want to remove something. That's what approval means.
Essentially, yes. You know, if there, for instance, our appointment before the board was a consent item at the board meeting, and it was removed and tabled for discussion and action later in the meeting, removed from the consent calendar and put in as an action item.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that. All right, thank you.
Any more questions? Hearing no objection, the motion is adopted. And so now we move to item B1, public comment. Members of the public are invited to speak on any matter related to the 7-Eleven committee at this time. Members of the public may speak on individual items of interest in the agenda as the items are discussed. Do you have a request?
We do. Don Gosney?
Mr. Costa.
Thank you. Before we get too far into this meeting with the restrictions about what we can speak about, I wanted to just bring up a few things of concern. I have to wonder if I was the only member of this committee that was not actually invited to attend. I got emails asking whether this date was acceptable, but that was it. I was not sent a URL for the Zoom option, nor was I sent an agenda packet. Maybe that's something we can look into. Second, with the exception of Mr. Sanders, Mr. Ratila, and I, the rest of this committee are all pretty new to what this committee is all about, what we've been tasked to do, what we have already done, what we still need to do, and what we will be allowed to do. Mr. Sanders and I have been on this committee since the beginning, and I've attended in person every meeting. I hope that we can show the new committee members and the public the respect they deserve by keeping all of this in consideration and not to try to ram anything down their throats. Respect is important. Thirdly, we are all representatives of the people. I routinely ask how can our representatives claim to speak for the people when they never speak with the people? We, nor the public, have been provided with any contact information about each other, so how are we supposed to actually reach out to each other to communicate? This is not supposed to be a secret organization. I've shared my contact information with all of you. Through hook and crook, I've secured contract information for most of you, so I will reach out hoping we can share information and thoughts. There's a lot of information you may want to know about, but that may not be presented at these meetings. Fourthly, last Friday, I spent the day at a workforce housing symposium hosted by the California School Board Association, along with Ellen and Trustee Reckler. They provided a lot of very valuable information that might affect what this committee, the public, and the board does when it comes to the final disposition of these 4 sites. The most valuable bit of information was from their legal team that reported that due to recent legislation, our Board of Education may be able to take action without considering anything that this committee and the public might suggest, recommend, or demand. We've already heard 3 board members state, 2 publicly, that they don't even have to listen to us and can do anything that they want. We may want to get advice from our own legal team about this, allowing us to ask the questions we want the answers to. Thank you.
Are there any other requests for comment?
I see no hands at this time.
Okay. Moving on to discussion items, D1, which is the Brown Act review. And Mr. Henderson, you'll be the presenter. And I guess I would like to start with a question.
Sure.
With respect to contacts among committee members, would you please speak to what we are permitted to do and what we aren't permitted to do when it comes to meeting with other members of the committee?
Yeah, don't. We'll be able to start. I'll talk about that during the Brown Act presentation. If you're gonna meet and talk, it's gonna be publicly like this. So we'll
All right. Any
on.
questions? Okay. All right.
That's not my understanding of the Brown Act.
So we can't hear you.
That's not my understanding of the Brown Act.
No.
Well, why don't I do the presentation? You can ask questions.
That sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So let's move forward with the presentation on the Brown Act. If you'll notice the screen in front or on your computer, if you happen to have it linked up to the Zoom window.
It's also in the packet.
Okay, very good. Mr. Henderson, you're on.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about the purposes of the Brown Act. I will talk a little bit about what is allowed, what isn't allowed. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about what a meeting is, because that's usually where we have hiccups, if you will, the Brown Act. So first of all, the purpose of the Brown Act, what is it? It is a piece of legislation, and it requires all public entity, boards, committees, et cetera, to keep the public informed of the actions, et cetera, of what goes on at those committees. It's a procedural framework to have those meetings and to do the work, if you will, of a committee or a board in public. So why does it apply to you guys? Well, it applies to a member of a legislative body of a local agency, which includes any person elected, et cetera. Once elected, that official has to know the requirements of the Brown Act, even before they're taking office. It includes, and that's why we're talking about it today, any commission, committee, or advisory committee to those elected boards, whether it's permanent or temporary or created by a formal action of the board or by statute. You are both of those. You are created by the board and you are required by statute to review properties for surplus property. That's why the Brown Act doesn't just apply to the board, it applies to you folks as well. So, like I said, on meetings, sorry, keep scrolling. You've got control.
Thank you.
Let's talk about what constitutes a meeting, and what these meetings all have to be in public. So when you're physically together, this is a perfect example of a meeting. We're all physically together at the same time, same place. And we notified the public that we're gonna have this meeting and we're having this meeting. Use of technology can constitute a meeting. So if a majority of this board communicates in any way, we'll get to some specifics in a few minutes, that could constitute a meeting. And if you're doing it without notifying the public, without proper notice, that would be a violation of the Brown Act. We look at substance over procedure. So if, for example, the committee wanted to email each other, hey, can we meet on such and such a date, go ahead and agendize that. That's administrative. That's more procedural than substance. If you're going to email each other, go, what do you think about the Harmon Knolls site? Put the brakes on. That's substantive. That is about the content of this committee. That's what we're supposed to be talking about in public. What I was said a few moments ago was perhaps cavalierly, do I want you all to communicate with each other? Short answer is generally no, because we'll get to in a few minutes. Those procedural discussions can quickly turn into substantive discussions. So you make, I don't know, the administrators and lawyers all nervous if you start having those discussions and don't do it publicly. Think of it as developing a collective concurrence. I'll probably say that phrase a couple of times in the next few minutes. That's what we're trying to prohibit. If whatever you're doing can lead towards getting to a collective concurrence between this board, that is likely something that has to be talked about at a public meeting. Scheduling when the meeting happens, that is not towards a collective concurrence. Talking about Harmon Knolls, that's trying to establish and going towards a collective concurrence. So keep that in mind when we're talking about it. Go ahead.
I got a question.
Yeah.
For example, the thing that Mr. Gosney described, for example, I'm a new member.
Mhm.
The committee has done a lot of other certain properties. And if I wanted to catch up on what's being done, would that communication constitute a meeting or would that be admissible?
No, that would strike me as constituting a meeting. So let's talk about what a meeting is. It is a quorum of the members of this group getting together. Right now, we're gonna be 11, you are 10 members right now. So can you, 5 of you go talk somewhere and go to a restaurant and talk about it, arguably without violating the Brown Act? Probably. Is it a good idea? It's a terrible idea. If you want information about the property and everything else, seek the information. Talk to the president, talk to staff. You can talk to each other, or you can have an open dialogue in meetings like this in the public. Go ahead, Mr. Gosney.
I'm sorry, going back to the conversation you had over there. If we're talking about something that is public record, the archives, what happened on the videos, what happened in the minutes, how does that constitute a meeting?
And there will be zero information having to do with suggestions or persuasion or point of view during that discussion. It'll be 100% objective with no thought about what is a good or a bad idea. The answer to that's no. Virtually nobody can have those kinds of conversations about the properties without bringing their point of view to it. And if you're going to bring your point of view towards it, that's going towards a collective concurrence. So have that discussion here.
Yeah.
That's right, but we can only have that discussion here if it's agendized. And that's not really a discussion because we're fighting the clock. How much can we cram into a 1-hour meeting, a 2-hour meeting? When we consider we've had 14 meetings, each of them going well over 2 hours. We can't really do that at one of these meetings.
Sure you can. We can establish, if you really want to go back into 7 years of history, we can do a workshop. I would probably schedule it not at night, maybe pick an afternoon or something, so you can burn 3 or 4 hours talking about all you've done. We agendize it, it's established as a workshop, it's a back and forth, it's a dialogue. If the entire committee wants to do that, then we can contemplate that. You're trying to create a situation where it's not going to be a meeting? No, create a meeting for that to happen. Workshop, full presentation, go over all the PowerPoints we've done for years. We can do all that. But no, you're not going to go to Starbucks and do that. So that's the point I'm trying to get.
If I may comment, if you send me a request for something to be put on the agenda, I'll put it on the agenda. If it's to be removed from the agenda, anyone can make a motion to remove it from the agenda, and then we see whether it gets approved or not. But I can put it on the agenda. It's easy.
Oh, I understand that. I said, I never graduated from law school. Perry Mason was about it for me.
Oh, but you've been in a lot of public meetings.
A lot of public meetings, and this idea that we are not allowed to talk about anything outside of the meeting. This is a foreign concept. I've never heard that be that restrictive, and let me please.
Sorry, go ahead.
We've never seen it that restrictive. As long as we are not discussing opinions, we're talking about statements of fact. Something that, I mean, if you wanted to go through and listen to all, 35 hours of the videos, you could do that. Or you can get a summary of some of that by talking to somebody that was actually there. That's what we're talking about here. Not opinions about whether we should do this or whether we should do that but just talking about what happened.
That would be in a workshop.
Sorry?
That would be in a workshop, agendized, open to the public. So whatever discussions are happening.
I thought that, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
two questions. One, so just to confirm, as long as it's not a majority of the committee, it's not a meeting, right?
Sure.
Okay. And the second is, if what you're talking about is not, what we're talking about is not on the agenda for a meeting.
Right.
Then my understanding, just from being at way too many city council meetings, is that it's not an issue. You're not talking about a pending decision of the committee.
No, that's not it at all. If it's within the subject matter of what you are on a board or a committee or a commission for, you are not to talk about it. Yes, you're all members of the public. As to surplus property at West Contra Costa Unified School District, you're a member of this committee. You have given up some of your ability to go out and talk to these people in this room about it without sitting down in front of an owl at a notice meeting. You can go talk to the rest of the world all you want about all this stuff. Well, you're not gonna ever hear anything confidential. That's not what the committee's for. But are you gonna talk to these people here on this committee who are gonna make decisions on what they're gonna suggest or recommend to the board?
Okay.
That's
so it
gonna
doesn't
happen here.
matter if it's on the agenda. That
Well,
was my question.
this committee is only gonna talk about what's on the agenda. At the end of this meeting, we're gonna talk about future dates. We can also talk about what other things you wanna put on the agenda for the next meeting. You can't put something on the agenda tonight because the public doesn't know about it. How do you inform the public that it was gonna be on the agenda?
72 hours, right?
Pardon?
72 hours.
Yeah, 72 hours. Let's do a special meeting and I
Right,
don't know. if the
that's
committee will ever do
24.
it. Yeah, that's 24. So those notice requirements have to happen for these meetings to happen, so the public can, only just sit behind you a minute. Members of the public can come and attend the meeting. So that all has to happen. And whether or not it's all objective, and I'm gonna get to your 5 people in a minute. Let's all be realistic about that. How many conversations do you have where it's 100% objective and there's no opinion and persuasion and anything else? I don't think anybody in this room would pretend that in a conversation with people, there's not opinion, persuasion, suggestions, implication. That all happens. We're human beings. That happens. So, and if we're going to talk to 5 people, actually, I'm glad we're getting to the next one. I'll scroll a little bit farther down. The things that can constitute a meeting if they can.
Hope it's fun.
Yeah, there you go. Hub of the wheel. So group text. Oh my gosh, please do not create a text chain between all of you. That's a bad idea. If we're going to coordinate, it'll come from district staff. It'll be in the BCC line. It's, normally how we control not having people starting to respond back and forth to each other. Hub of the wheel. For example, in your example, let's say 5 of you get together and talk. Would even one of you then potentially talk to another person? That's 6.
That's the limit. That's
Right.
the law is that we couldn't.
Yeah. And what's the likelihood that one of the 5 people potentially might talk to one of the other committee members? High.
It's just interesting how you're making the case of like a version of this law that really suppresses thoughtful deliberation outside of this meeting, with the assumption that like we're going to come to the best decision by following that really strict interpretation and not having conversations that actually contribute to the quality of our decisions. I think that's counterproductive, but that's me.
Well, do them here.
That's the problem, man.
What's the problem? I mean, doing them, that is not the point of the committee, is to have that dialogue, to go back and forth.
The time, like Don said, and the structure of these meetings are very limited. And so the idea that the best communication is going to come out within those restrictions, to me, I've been in too many Brown Act meetings to really believe that, but.
Just a point. I've been through this presentation several times.
Yeah.
One of the prohibitions was a serial contact. You know, I talked to you, then I talked to
That's the daisy chain. That's the next one. we just
Sean
got.
over here. Yeah, the daisy chain. But back to the 5 issue. As soon as one person, not in your control, talks to someone else in the committee about substantive anything, then that's immediately
No, I understand.
it crosses the
That's point you
threshold,
made. Yeah,
and you can't control for that. So rather than set up the circumstances where whatever the business item is, it could later be challenged and set aside,
yeah, I understand that.
don't do it.
All right. Understood.
As the chair was just talking about daisy chain, where one person talks to a committee member, then that talks to another one, that talks to another. That creates, again, it's moving towards a collective concurrence. Assuming you're talking about something related to this committee, you all can hang out all you want. You guys can go to movies, do whatever you want. Just don't talk about the property at the school district about, during those time periods.
For the business of the committee.
Yeah. Internet blogs. I might have to stop using the word blogs. Does anybody actually blog? We don't call them blogs anymore. That's probably a 10-year-old term. But let's talk about the next one. Yeah, maybe longer than that. I'm dating myself. Social media. Some of you may have an Instagram, may have a Twitter, Facebook. I don't know if anybody saw this Facebook account. If you comment and like and share a tweet or a thumb down or an emoji or something else on another member's post, you can do it as long as it's not related to this. So if somebody talks about, and you guys might have connections, maybe you're going to connect, maybe you're going to follow somebody, that's fine. There is a specific fun thing that came up in AB 8992. How long ago? Oh, God, it's already 5 years ago in 2021, where again, making those comments was without having a meeting could lead toward a collective concurrence because you're liking, thumbs upping, or making a comment, positive or negative, against another committee member. Again, not about going to a birthday party, not about their trip to Florida, whatever. That's all fine. If it's related to something here, related to the property that's going to be before this committee. So, yeah, they had to make a law about it. But, common scenarios that are not meetings. I won't go, these kind of crisscross and merge with each other. They are different statutes, so I'm going to go there more quickly. Again, no quorum doesn't constitute a meeting. So that's actually a little bit what you were saying. If 3 or 4 or 5 of you are talking, your quorum would be 6. Good question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, this is a question for us.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, especially with some of our school district meetings, we have not had a quorum, but we have still conducted a meeting and had presentations with no votes being taken. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's legal it doesn't constitute a meeting. So it is no longer a meeting. If a quorum is not there, like if only 4 of you show up one night, I guess 5, it's not a meeting. It's not going to be reported. Can the 5 all stay there if they want and watch the presentation? Sure. But if it's going to be part of the deliberation, you're probably going to watch it a second time at the next meeting. Or if the other members don't care and don't want to see it. Again, you're receiving information, but at that moment in time, it's not a meeting.
But as soon as we start talking, that's a problem, right? At that not quorum meeting, like we get the presentation, it's all one way, and then somebody says, well, that was a dumb thing. Now we've gone over the line, right?
Yeah, but again, when there's not a quorum, that's, again, you're not in the middle of a meeting. You're making people like me and you're making staff nervous, because again, as soon as one of you then goes and has a further conversation, right, we all thought that was dumb. What do you think?
Yeah, okay.
Then you violate the Brown Act.
Yeah.
At the instant you guys are talking at the non-meeting, right, you're all sitting there watching the presentation.
Yeah, so the non-meetings can only be one way, is what I wanted to
They
try to
really
put.
should be. But again, yeah, I've been in those meetings, Mr. Gosney, where, well, okay, we don't have a quorum, but do we want to hear the information because we have a consultant here to do it? Okay, we will, but they're probably going to come back. And then you do it. And yeah, you make people like me, because I'm a lawyer for a living, going, as soon as one of these people talk to somebody else, are we going to have a violation? It's that gray area I'm trying to avoid. Okay, quickly. General meetings, the attendance of a majority of members of a legislative body can go to another meeting. Again, you're going to hear me say this for the next few bullet points here. Don't all go sit in the corner and I'll talk about stuff on this. You can all go to those community meetings, public entity meetings. You can all go to parties. Frankly, you can all go to the district's board meeting. Don't all 70 of you, or however many go, show up and sit in the corner talking about surplus property. There's nothing stopping you all from going to these meetings and participating. Just don't go do it as a group sitting in the corner talking about, the business before the 7-Eleven committee, because that's not your meeting. That's either the city council or somebody, or the board meeting. Yeah.
And let's carry on with that scenario there, where all 10 of us show up at the next board meeting and we all sign up to speak and give our opinions on what's going on here. Did we just violate the Brown Act? Are we going to Brown Act prison?
Brown Act prison.
Hey, don't laugh about that. I got my toothbrush in the car.
You always carry it down. At that moment in time, are you all violating the Brown Act? No, you're allowed to all speak as members of the public, because that's not your meeting. If you are sitting there as a group saying, let's all get together and make these comments together, you're borderline creating a committee meeting. But the reality is you are all then not agendized, speaking as individuals towards one board, like a city council or the district's board. Are you doing something that's going to make, frankly, let's say you go to the city council's attorney is going to get nervous, and you're probably going to make somebody like me nervous. Yes. Yeah.
As I understand it, if we have had a resolution, we've taken a vote, we've arrived at a position, whether we voted for it or not, but we simply report what the committee has adopted in terms of policy. That's permitted.
Yes.
And we don't present it as our own opinion. We present it as a committee position. Correct?
Correct. That's really not I'll make a additional point. It's not really a Brown Act point, but let me make the point. There's nothing stopping anyone on this committee from having their own opinion about something. Frankly, about the properties that we're going to be talking about. You can write an opinion piece and have it published by, well, I was going to say newspaper. Newspapers don't exist anymore. Online somewhere. You have to. This is a little bit outside the Brown Act, but I'll say it. At the top of it, I'm a member of the committee. This is not speaking for the committee. And my suggestion is always, and say it again at the end of it. So it's clear that you're not trying to speak for the committee, unless you have been designated or asked by the committee to speak on behalf of the committee, or the committee agrees to write an opinion piece or something like that. But if you're speaking as an individual, 100%, nobody's taking away your First Amendment rights. But you just have to be clear that you're speaking for yourself and not on behalf of the committee. Yeah.
So basically, I could just not say that I'm not speaking for the committee, but I can just say, this is my opinion that I'm expressing at the beginning and at the end, and basically, there. So basically, I'm saying it's my opinion.
Yes. And again, nothing, just by being a member of this committee doesn't stop any member of this committee from doing exactly that. But you have to make it clear that it is your opinion. You're not speaking on behalf of the committee. Or then again, this is not really a Brown Act concern. It's more of a conflict, or it's a representation requirement. Keeps going. I think I basically hit those. You can all go to parties. Oh, Arnold, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, I was just curious if, in order to be a Brown Act group,
Take exit 15 onto Cutting
You
Boulevard.
have bylaws.
we do have bylaws.
Yeah. Well, I believe you do.
No.
For the committee bylaw? You don't have to, but you should.
Okay.
We have no bylaws. Yeah. Jim, I think we would agree with that.
I'm aware of none.
Okay. Oh,
Okay. You're not intended to either.
So I don't want to say factually there are no bylaws. I don't want to say I'm aware of none.
I don't think either one of us.
In answer to your question, that I work with a lot of 7-Eleven committees, and we generally have bylaws. I probably wasn't working with this committee, 9 years ago? I don't even want to say how long ago it was, where it was established, where you can and you can. I say should. Do you need bylaws legally? No, you don't. But it does give those committee parameters of what people work with.
So, so what happens if the whole committee has, they go to a board meeting? The board has hypothetically gone against the committee's recommendation, and the whole committee shows up, and their message is basically the same, but it wasn't coordinated. Or maybe it was coordinated at the previous meeting, that if the board disagrees or goes against what the committee has recommended, that we would all show up
Would that be considered a meeting if the message is all the same? Even though
No,
we're
I don't-
saying it's our opinion?
No, I don't think so, Nick, and because the circumstances are such that your rights at that moment to be able to say, again, maybe only 9 of you show up and 1 doesn't, or whatever. You all can go to that meeting and speak publicly about your opinion on what the board did, maybe contrary to perhaps what the 7-Eleven committee recommended. There's nothing stopping you, Nick, from going and doing that. Again, you guys are all acting as individuals at that moment. Are you trying to work towards a collective concurrence? No, you're expressing your opinion on what has already happened at that moment in time. Yes.
So since we're chasing down weird rabbit holes.
Yeah, exactly. And the house is on fire.
Yeah, no, I hear
There's
you.
fire at the window and the door. What do I do?
So Nick and I are on a different district committee with Jeff, whose purview is the whole district budget. And so it seems entirely possible that the topic of revenues from these properties would be germane in in those conversations. What is the recommendation of how I should comport myself when that comes up?
Interesting. So you're on the budgetary advisory committee?
I am, but engagement committee.
Okay.
I hear you know about our bylaws problems and what that shape.
No, it's just like, hey, let's create a name that doesn't say budget.
No, it's the district budget engagement committee.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
DB.
I was gonna say, what, do you not have B in there?
Yeah.
No, you've got, I don't know if acting within your capacity in each instance is gonna create a violation of the Brown Act. I'd have to think about that, Sean. I don't know that it would. I think you're permitted to act under both committees in your capacity as a member. I mean, maybe you're somewhat saved by the instance that there is 10 people on this committee. It takes a minute to get to 5, right? And, you know, it's not entirely likely you're gonna get to 5, even if 2 of you are on the budget engagement.
District budget engagement.
Thank you.
All right, well, if you wake up in a cold sweat thinking that
Yeah, I
is
know.
wrong, you let me know.
I'll have to
Otherwise,
reach out to you.
I'll be good.
We'd pay to watch that.
I'm looking forward to the teleconferencing, but I wanted to ask, since we're a Brown Act group, our personal devices are subject to public records request, right?
Possibly. So I mean, as far as if somebody want to do a Public Records Act request, they're gonna have to demonstrate that your phone potentially has information in it that would constitute a public record. And if there's any indication that your phone could have been used to communicate with perhaps other committee members, they will likely have a right to do it. But the district kind of push back and try to, you know, look for an exception, perhaps, because we don't like our committee members getting, you know, chased down, if you will. But frankly, if their phone was used in that instance for something like that, your phone could be, or your texts would, however it would be received, the text potentially or emails could be.
Yeah, but they're voluntary.
Would you?
No one's gonna take your phone and go through your texts.
I've been doing this for approaching 30 years. I've never had a marshal come and
Right.
take someone's phone and start doing it. So
Hey,
let's not create, you know, I'd like to retire in like 12, 15 years. I don't want that to be anything. Like this, so. Not wait for the county sheriff to do that. Yeah, let's talk about the meeting. Sorry, where are we? Guys, it's throwing me off. I do want to talk about this for a moment. So yes, all the meetings must take place within district boundaries. That's great. That's easy. Accessible to the public. That's easy as well. Teleconferencing, and I do want to mention this. I know Nick's on the line right now. Because we're under the Brown Act, if somebody wants to attend as a committee member, there are 2 different pathways to do it. I'm not going to dive into right now how to do it, but there's 2 different ways to do it. You either put notifications up at the place where they are because they're attending. Used to say teleconnecting, but now it's really they're sitting in a Zoom room. Or if there's other instances where there's an emergency or a health problem. There's 2 different statutes. One of them came up during COVID, so now we still sit with these 2 statutes. If you want to attend virtually, like Nick is now, just let staff know, and then it'll be part of the agenda, and they'll coordinate with you how to attend virtually. To be fair, at this moment, Nick is attending, but let's just say Nick's attending informally, and we're not gonna vote on anything tonight. We have 10 people in this room, I believe, or 9 in this room at this point, so we had a quorum anyway. But again, if anybody wants to attend virtually, you can. Just let staff know, let them know, a little bit ahead of time so we can coordinate how to do that. Okay, yeah.
So you have to be visible, right?
Yes and no. You can teleconference under the old version. The new statute that talks about it, you're supposed to, you're supposed to video in, and that's why, the ability to be visible, mainly so you can see what's going on, not so they can be watching you in your living.
West County wastewater, we typically have a yea or nay vote. They ask, would you, they take the vote, they say, those that say yes, and those that say no, say no. But if one of the members is teleconferencing, then we go to a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Is that the case here?
It can be, yeah. If there's gonna be a formal vote having to be taken, we will likely want to do a roll call vote, because we want to know specifically if that person said it, because the yay or nay verbally,
yeah,
you're right, doesn't come up. I mean, if he's standing there and just doing this, then maybe you don't have to do a roll call vote, but I have to double check the statute requires it or not. I don't know that it has to, if you can see the person and it's obvious, but I'd see 9 times out of 10. Okay, so-and-so, let's do a roll call, and you just hop through it because the person's on the video.
Thank you.
I can, worst case scenario, we had a situation in Richmond City Council where we had a council member say, well, I don't really feel good today, so I'm just gonna put my headshot on there. Okay, and for all intents and purposes, we saw that he was in attendance. And the next day, we find out that he's speaking at the El Cerrito City Council meeting across town. At the same time that he's claiming to be in attendance as a city council member. And it did not sit well, because this wasn't a matter of seeing him raise his hand or anything like that. It's got a fraud.
Yeah, it's not correct, and he was probably violating something. I don't know if it's fraud, but it's a bad act. Yes, I agree.
It's 7 o'clock. Do we have to make a motion to extend the meeting?
No, we normally can go till 8, and
We're scheduled for 7, right? 6 to 7.
So I did informally send a calendar invite that was an hour long. I do apologize for that. But on the agenda, the time period noted per item adds up to 2 hours.
I just got the agenda. I did not have it emailed.
So there was an email sent. So I'm concerned why. So we might want to double check which email I'm sending to.
Sure.
Because maybe I'm missing a letter or something.
Well, we have beaten up the Brown Act topic. Let me go through this in the next 30 seconds. The agenda requirements, 72 hours for a normal meeting. Desktop will take care of it. Don't sweat it. Closed session, very unlikely for this committee. If you have a closed session, we have done, where we go down a road we didn't want to go down. If you violate the Brown Act, yes, there are things that can happen. There's a pretty quick cure for most Brown Act violations, and that is if you did something outside of a normal meeting, you come back and do the action again in an open session. So that's usually the quick cure. But yes, there are 5 options there. There could be bad things that happen, including misdemeanor, which again, hopefully that doesn't happen too often, but it can happen. I'm done talking about the Brown Act, unless there's more questions.
okay. So let us move on to discussion item D.2, the draft report and process is required by statute, and the presenters are Ms. Mejia and Mr. Henderson again. And before we get deeply into this, only because it's my name, if you guys will turn to page 2 in the report or page 7 in the packet, you'll see my name hyphenated, and that's my birth name. The middle name has been included in error. So would you please strike the first part of the hyphenated name, so I can just be James Sanders and not James Henry Sanders, which is honestly my birth name, but I don't go by Henry.
Hank?
Will everybody please strike that, and then we'll move on from there. Super. Thank you.
So this evening, I know that we have many people on the committee that weren't necessarily part of the draft, but as you can see, the committee has gone quite a ways down the road of creating a draft document. if I can, just by a show of hands, were people able to see the resources that were sent out as far as the previous presentation of the properties? Does everybody know the 4 properties? Most part, yeah, sort of. Okay.
Where would he send, where would he send out?
So there was a welcome to the committee email, which now I'm just realizing that I might have ended up in, no, because I'm staff. So I can send them. So I'm like, wait a minute, did I just? No, so when I sent an email to the new committee members informing them that they were accepted to the committee as part of the, and I just let them know that there were links on the 7-Eleven committee website. So, I pointed them to 2 particular meetings, one that had an introduction to the Brown Act. And that meeting also happened to go through the PowerPoint of the different properties. And so that was what was sent out as a get up to speed email. So it just sent them to the website. So I just was trying to get a feel from the committee of what people knew. And so maybe what we should do then is a quick overview, because I believe the title of this was also just the process in general, just a quick point of where we are in the process of the 7-Eleven committee. And then we can go down to the different properties.
Can we just get, please, under the executive summary?
Yes.
The statute that established the committee purpose of the 7-Eleven committee? Sure.
What page?
That is page 1 in the packet, or page 10. If you check the 2 numbers, the number on the left is 1 and the number on the right is 10.
Yeah, I tried to put the agenda page number in red, and so then it contrasted with the page number that was included on the report.
Jim, are you referring to what's listed under item 2, purpose of the 7-Eleven committee?
Yes.
The statute numbers? And what are you trying to say? Sorry, I couldn't understand.
Those 2 statutes establish the structure of the task of the 7-Eleven committee. Those steps that we are to go to, those requirements that are embedded in the statute that we have to satisfy before we can turn the report that we're responsible for generating over to the Board of Trustees. So it's just a matter of orientation of the new members of the board.
Correct. So we do have the 7-Eleven committee was directed to follow the legislative intent of the Education Code, section 17387 and 17390. In the process and deliberations by engaging the public and to determine the amount of surplus space and real property and establishing a priority list for the use of surplus property or space acceptable for the committee. Acceptable for the committee. You want to expand on that at all?
No, I mean, I can a little bit, only that, again, the charge of the 7-Eleven committee is to review data and information related to properties that the district itself may think need to be deemed surplus. So the district says, do we need these particular parcels? If not, let's run it by, or maybe they do, let's bring in the public, and that's where you guys come in, to do the first pass through it. And then you as a committee make a recommendation, or you don't, but usually 7-Eleven committees make the recommendation. And that recommendation goes to the board. To your point earlier, Mr. Gosney, 45 minutes ago now, does the board have to follow your recommendation? No. The ultimate decision will be with the board. But the board is to receive information from you guys who do spend a little bit of time, or a lot of time, reviewing the properties and what the properties could be used for. Yes.
Sorry, we all know we're advisory, so they can accept our advice or reject our advice.
Right.
But I didn't say that they were obligated to follow our advice.
No.
These people were saying they didn't have to listen to our advice. And that's a huge thing. I put maybe 400 man hours on this thing over the past 4 years. I don't like to think that I've wasted that much of my life.
You want?
I don't know if now's the time, but I was curious how the 4 properties were selected that we're looking at.
I think it'll be pretty obvious when we go through them. They are all not currently operational as school sites. And
No, I mean, were there other properties considered that were not put on this list?
not that I know.
And who made the list?
Well, the board signed off on the list.
Okay,
Yeah, the board passed the list.
I see.
3 of the sites don't even have buildings. They're vacant lots.
That wasn't my question, but that's why we can go ahead.
Yeah, but let's move on. New information for you.
Okay, and then this is the description of the legal process for the surplus school property. That was the part that I was,
Oh, well, let's dive into that. What happens after we find it surplus?
well, some quick portion of
Yeah,
what happens when the committee makes that recommendation.
let's assume the committee does make a recommendation that one or maybe all 4 of these properties should be deemed surplus. And again, you are free to recommend what the board could do it or should do it if you want to. Once that happens, there is a statutory process for what the board has to do with surplus property. We have to put it to what they call public offerings. We offer to other cities and other public entities, UCs, CSUs, their district. And then if none of those bite, there's a longer process. I'm not going to get too deep into it. Then we put it out for public bidding for both a long-term lease or to sell. Now, it's rare when districts generally want to sell property. It's an asset. There's usually avenues you want to look for ways to use the property without having to sell it. That's a one-time benefit. But can you long-term lease it? And you use it for, you talked about workforce housing. There's lots of our districts that are thinking about workforce housing. You worked on one too, with John Police. That's one potential option. Some of those things don't require the surplus process. But these 4 properties are now before you to deem surplus. And the board will ultimately make the decision. Do we put it out for public offering? Do we do a long-term lease? Do we contemplate workforce housing? Do we do something else with the property? Long-term lease. UC Gardens.
I was under the impression, when we left, that all we had to do was finalize the minutes. All of the minutes, there's probably a dozen of them left, and then, present to the public.
Yeah, the where we left it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ellen, but the committee had made its recommendation.
Yes.
We had, there was draft recommendations, because we had to hold a hearing before the public before we do that, and we were gonna schedule the hearing. We never ultimately had the hearing.
Right.
And then after that hearing, you're right, we would have finalized the report, assuming there was no other information. And then presuming everyone wanted to, we would have made the recommendation to the board. A second issue that had come up was, were the minutes sufficient that the district had prepared? It had a parliamentarian preparing, and there was a draft, a handful of drafts, I think, prepared by you, Mr. Gosney. And could the committee settle on what the minutes of those meetings would look like? So we got, I don't know what the verb would be. We got hung up, bogged down. We didn't get past that when the committee, well, a year and a half ago now, over a year ago.
So where are we exactly right now, as we speak?
Pretty much the same spot.
I have,
Dave,
agree on the
minutes? That's what stops the whole committee?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hold in my hand approximately 3 different sets of minutes. Some of which I was aware of, some of which I was aware of, and some I was not aware of. But because of the diligence of the staff, I'm now aware of it. So that's to be discussed in the future. And with the price of counsel.
The intent of this meeting was really to bring forward kind of the background information so that everybody was sort of starting on the same, or not necessarily the same, but at least
Had a good idea.
had a good idea of what was going on. So we chose to not include the whole minutes discussion and everything else in this first meeting. We want to make sure everybody knew what the properties were, kind of basics around the 7-Eleven process, as well as where the committee left off. So that's why we're trying to kind of quick scroll through the report. so that we could give that background information in this meeting. And then later on the agenda, the action items is to set future meeting dates, which can include the public hearings or could just include the committee dates on the prerogative of the committee.
So after the description of the legal process for the surplus properties, there are establishment of the responsibilities, 17,390. And so there'll be as you look through the packet, and I recommend that you look at the packet online or print it out, because color is much clearer than black and white. You don't quite get the feel for the property. And you're free to visit the properties. There are, if I can just list them alphabetically, there's Adams Middle School, then Harmon Knolls, and the former site of Cordova Middle School, and the former site of Seaview. The only site with a building is Adams Middle School, so there's a derelict gym building and a derelict classroom building, and I'm one of the derelict teachers left over from Adams Middle School. So anyway,
Don't get too close to the.
Little humor. But I sincerely recommend you look at those. Now, 3 sites are simply not approvable by the state architect. They are Adams, Cordova, and Seaview for a variety of reasons. So some land use other than a public school has to be established for each of those. In previous meetings, Harmon Knolls is the one site that the state architect would approve a new building of a school. So one of the things that we need to discuss in the future is what's the likely use of the Harmon Knolls site, given everything else that's going on around it and everything that surrounds it. But that's for a future meeting. Mr. Rentivo.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think it's important to mention too that the 3 other properties are in unincorporated areas.
No, those Cordova's El Cerrito.
I'm sorry, yes, 2 other, yes, and Cordova's and El Cerrito.
Right, so Adams Middle School is.
And maybe just to help the committee members track all of this, we could stick to just do a quick, do a quick recap of each site, because there's a fun-filled chart, which everybody's got to love a chart of each one of the properties, as well as the aerial. So if you have specific items you want to point out on each site, feel free. I would welcome that. But I do think just for the new folks, it might be easier if we don't hopscotch back and forth between.
Okay, so let's return to Adams Middle School.
I have a comment about Adams Middle School. The county adopted the housing element December 2023. And I emailed you, Ellen, the link to it with the pages, and hopefully you can share that with the rest of the committee so that I wouldn't be violating Brown Act. But in the approved housing element, it assumes 50 units for Adams Middle School, and maybe we can update the draft to reflect that.
Right.
So the housing element reflected a residential development on Adams?
It did.
And to update that will have to be a committee action.
Right.
But we can happily share out the information and bring that back for a motion later.
Okay, would you please scroll to the opinion of value?
Kevin had his hand up next to you.
I just have a quick question. Was any study conducted of that fit, or is that just calculation based off acreage?
The county's count.
It's just a calculation.
Yeah, but the district didn't do that. The district hasn't approved any housing there. I think the county.
It was the county did the housing element.
Okay. I'm asking because there's a fault line that goes through this.
Right.
Yes,
So
it's not
if
the most stable property.
that's what makes it unbuildable.
Right.
For school, but also affects the yield. So
Mhm.
I just want to point that out. There's a requirement that you set back 50 feet from a fault line, so.
Do we have access to the zoning documents related to all of board laws?
I believe those were previously presented.
Which document?
Zoning documents?
Zoning, yeah.
I thought we did. we
Yeah,
have
no,
title reports?
Yeah, there's title reports on all 4 of these properties. Preliminary title reports. They're probably now 3 or 4 years old, but I don't know if much has happened on the property. But they would have the zoning on all of those. And actually the zoning, what does it say for this? This is, this is housing element consistent, but.
Aware of those reports?
So we can provide those. Yeah. Just so you know, I'm also new to this committee. So sorry for not always knowing the answer to your questions of past history of the committee. There were other folks that were with the district that used to run it. So this is my first meeting too. But I've been in Jeff's first meeting as well. But we've been around the 7-11 committee and you know, we're aware of the activities, but the specifics of exactly what happened in the past is not necessarily something I may or may not know. Just so you are also aware of that.
So if I could
Yes.
address Eli, those zoning reports were in the agenda packets for the very early meetings. I would say the first or maybe even the second meeting of the 7-11, which you can find on the website. But they did have the zoning reports included in the packet.
Title reports.
The zoning reports.
Well, preliminary title reports had the zoning in it.
Yeah. The old zoning.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know when this became HCC.
It was after December of 2023.
Yes,
It was
okay, so-
probably 2 months
So when
later.
they voted the housing element, they changed the zoning at that point. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the title report we probably had would not reflect that yet, unless we had it. I don't think we got one after that.
John Joy said that.
Yes.
Now, on Adams, since it does have a building, I think this one is the one that keeps costing the district money for having to keep people out, having to address issues of dumping. People, we clear it and we assume it, and this my as a citizen of the area is a liability, because just a couple of feet from there is a private school and a church. Having people in there is not a good thing.
If I can speak to that for just a second. If you look at the illustration, dead center kind of, you'll see the classroom building with the roofs, and it's kind of long and rectangular, and a part that extends over to the road. Directly opposite that is the church, and the church hosts a parent cooperative school called Crestmont, I believe. And so the road, you can't get a sense of the topography here, but Arlington, the main road above, is above grade with respect to the school. And so that horseshoe road tends to attract all kinds of miscreants. And when I was on staff there, it was not unusual to find cars on milk crates abandoned opposite the school and missing their wheels. So the local criminal element used to drop their surplus property on the road leading to the school. And I can't imagine that things have necessarily improved with the absence of people.
It's not that bad. I live around the corner from that school. That's not happening.
Okay.
Sure. It's gone, but no more cars on blocks.
So, all right, let's move on now.
Chair Sanders?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out, I was in a conversation with somebody on next door that lives next to the Adams Junior High, and he's saying that looks like RPD is setting up a little road course at Adams Middle School, and that they have a lot of emergency services that use the abandoned school for training and canine training.
We have currently, there is a permit or
Pride of entry or a license for the.
We have allowed use for different public agencies, and there is one currently happening.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because the property's underutilized and, you know, we want to support our other public agencies.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so Adams Middle School, it used to be a middle school. We've covered most of it. This is classroom building. It is a multi-story building. The first floor is level with this lower area. The entry point is actually in the second floor of the building. There is another floor on top of that. So there is, this is a very large structure. This is the gym that was referred to. We have a locker room, music area behind. As far as it is located on Patterson Circle, and the acreage is almost 6 acres. We have the updated zoning that we've already covered. I didn't know we acquired the site in 53, but that makes sense for the style of architecture. There are easements on the property. Demo costs, because we do have an existing building on the property, had a range. Obviously, this demo cost was created some time ago, so it would need to be escalated to today's dollars.
Right. Well, adjusted, it
Or
could potentially even
adjusted.
go down. Yeah.
Two comments with respect to the building, because I have in my retired teachers group, a graduate of the original first class of that school. And when it was built, it was put on rollers that were intended to mitigate the earthquake hazard. And I was informed by the previous manager of the facilities that the joints between succeeding floors were inadequate, and that the projection is that the building, the classroom building, would pancake in a sufficient earthquake. So, which is part of why the building is abandoned at this stage.
I also want to mention that, through the chair, I also wanted to mention that we discussed Adams being 3 different lots because it's tiered.
Yeah, I think there were five parcel numbers.
Yeah, there's 5 APN.
Yeah, so they could be sold separately.
We could sell, quote unquote, whatever we want. I mean, it could be divided if we needed to be, but is there a portion we'd want to keep? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Gosney?
You're seeing on each of these 4 sites, the estimate of what it might be worth if you wanted to sell. Okay. One of the problems with Adams is because of when this was built, I can assure you that it is full of asbestos and lead-based paint, which will make the demolition of the buildings much more expensive, which would lower the sale price. So it's just a conundrum for us.
Is that valuation based on demolition or?
Valuation, yeah, the valuation was delivered to us by the real estate consultants in 2022. And subsequent contacts with the real estate consultants was that they didn't feel that the numbers would necessarily change. That was their net value to the district. They estimated it would yield between 6 million and 8.6 million to the
We would
district.
definitely look at that number again, without a doubt, because it's been a few years. Even though we had an update almost 2 years ago. I mean, a lot has happened in the last 2 years.
I guess that doesn't quite answer my question. Is this assuming after the demolition?
Yeah, demo costs would be
Yeah, yeah.
deducted
Would
from
be
this
deducted,
range of
right,
values.
So that needs to be factored in, the new demo cost.
And it would be very significant because of the lower portion of the building being part of the structure of the house.
And Mr. Ghazi is probably right. I don't think any abatement's been done since 50.
No.
There's probably been work done at the site, but probably no abatement. So it probably is full of asbestos.
The bottom floor, the flooring was abated.
Okay.
Because it was cracked, and it was being used for storage, so basically it had to be abated.
Well, that's one thing. That's good.
That's good.
All right, let's go on to the next
parcel.
property, so we make sure we make it through all four of them. Although there's a little less to talk about on the future ones. Harmon Knolls, we have covered some of this. So this portion of the property used to have school buildings on them that have been demolished. It is adjacent to a park. This property for the most part is basically flat. However, access to the road behind, there is slope behind. So that makes gaining access to a major corridor difficult.
Right. The old school site is flat, but the park that the park is on, which is owned by the school district, it's got a significant change of elevation from the east side to the west side.
Well, comparably to Adams, it's not on a hill.
It's not 40 feet off grade.
So I guess I should have made that clear.
Okay.
On it, but
Okay.
I apologize.
There are, as you guys look at this illustration, the gray area is the old school site, but the parcel controlled by the district, or owned by the district, includes that underplanted green area with the yellow line through it. So that line is the parcel, the boundary for the parcel. So the parcel that we're talking about includes both the green and the gray area. Right? Is that clear to everyone? Mr. Rentila?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, that is currently being leased by the city of Richmond from the school district as a park, and it's a viable park. Also wanted to mention that at one time, they were gonna rebuild Highland Elementary on that property while the kids are still going to Highland Elementary, which is about 3 blocks away. And then we also spoke about, the fact that once they develop Hilltop Mall, there'll be approximately 20 to 30,000 homes there. And they need an elementary school or a public school to go to, as opposed to a charter school.
Okay.
Okay, and so it's just under 9 acres also. It is in the city of Richmond. As far as title summary goes, we acquired the property in 65. There are various utility easements, and certain water rights are reserved. There are conditions, covenants, and restrictions restricting land use to residential and business use if designated on city zoning maps, building setback restrictions on portions of property, slope easements, and lack of abutters rights, and provisions for multifamily housing on school sites if not used for school purposes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, the CCNRs, if it were to be sold, any property to be sold with CCNRs to a developer, the CCNRs would be, would have to be abided by, but if the school district were to lease it for educator workforce housing, would it be exempt?
I'd have to look at the CCNRs, and we didn't look at the CCNRs to know if that would be an exception. Because I want to instinctively say, yes, it should be, because that's still considered a public use. But I have to see if the CCRs wanted to keep it as educational or park use. So that's.
Just for everybody's clarification, the CCNRs that they're referring to are these condition covenant restrictions. Connecting those dots.
Thank you for defining the acronym.
And so
Any
because
other
on
questions?
the, because on the zoning map, lists this part, this lot as parks and recreation. And now this school district want to change land use to medium density townhouse, right? Have the school district talk to the urban planning department in the city or in this county and ask their opinion about the land use change?
I'm not aware.
No,
Because
That
you
would
have
have-
to change the zoning map.
right, but as far as the 7-Eleven committee didn't get that far. That's kind of not, it wouldn't be as necessary a role. I mean, once if the 7-Eleven committee thinks there might be a potential use, then the district would have to determine, does the district want to do it, or does the developer want to do it? And we push that off onto a developer. So kind of early in the process before we even check with the city and county.
But I did submit emails and letters from the city planner, Lena Velasco, Supervisor John Joya, all the city leaders, that it should be held as a school in the event that when Prologis develops that property, and say that Highland was number 4 on the rebuild list. It got bumped by Kennedy and Richmond High, so was scheduled to be rebuilt there. So what did that add that?
Information. I mean, again, that's, I guess, what to do with that information is, if you will, a policy decision ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on?
Moving on. All right, next property is Portola. Or Portola, depending on who you talk to. And so, this also has a significant tiered landscape to the property. The higher elevation is along this side, and it drops down to where you see the current Invictus campus that was at one point in time a temporary campus while the school district was constructing various school builds, and since then has been leased to a charter school. And so there is also a community garden on the second level. The building that used to be Portola Middle School is has already been demolished.
They haven't mentioned it, but there is a landslide east of that site. And a special assessment district for the residents of the landslide area. So it's not necessarily the most stable ground.
Yes, there was a reason why the middle school was torn down. And that really had to do with the stability of the soils within this location. So there would be restriction. This is why this property is no longer considered buildable by the Division of State Architect, which is the permit agency for school construction.
Is that for the whole thing, including the Victus parcel?
It's for the upper portion.
Upper portion, so this acreage is just for the whatever's grass here, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so I want to make sure I understood, because that was my question. So we are only considering the hill part. Invictus would stay with the district and thus.
Invictus is a charter school.
I'm aware.
And the site is controlled by the district, but Invictus, the district's obligated to provide a site for charter schools. Where you see that green belt, that's the boundary of the parcel.
Mm-hmm.
And where you see what looks like a community garden, there's a group called the University of California Master Gardener Program. They are occupying a portion of it at the moment. And they had made a presentation earlier. They would like to retain part of that site for their purposes.
Sure.
I will have to confirm what the acreage is. Considering the size of it, I'm assuming that it is only the top portion.
Okay.
But I will confirm for you.
Mr. Gosney?
Since God created the heavens and the earth and then walked away, all of Mosier Lane from Arlington down to San Pablo has been sliding downhill. It did not stop at only the upper section of this piece of property. I mean, this is something that anybody that's trying to develop there, putting buildings on there, we're gonna get a study done, and they're gonna notice that, and it's gonna affect the purchase price. Still great place, and it can be mitigated with pilings. Okay, but it's not just the upper section. Yeah, 60 years ago, we used to entertainment was watching it slide downhill because it was like kind of elastic, and then it would just snap, be a huge gap, and cars would run through it. We're stupid kids.
Okay.
All right, moving down, we have As you can see here, I will confirm what the 5.29 acres refers to exactly. There was a title summary, acquired the property in 48. The school was built in 51. The buildings were demolished in 2012. The current right of entry agreement with Pacific Oaks Community Garden for operating the free public community gardens and using approximately 500 or 5,000 square feet of the district property, with an expiration term of August 25. I will confirm whether or not that has been since extended. With the UC Master Gardeners Program. We do have the proposed land use assumptions, medium density townhomes project on approximately 5 acres of usable land, assumes 15 units for approximately 75 new townhomes. Subject to further geotech research, comparables in the area are indicating a range of 75 to 90 square foot per square foot, 17 to 20 million.
But I have what I think is a legal question, as relates to the purpose of this committee. As best as I've been able to tell, our primary job is to decide what is and is not surplus. And so I'm curious as regards the community garden. Let's say everyone around this committee thinks the community garden is the best thing that's ever been. That would still be immaterial to the determination of whether or not this is surplus for educational purposes to the district. Is that a fair statement?
I think it's a fair statement. Let me characterize it this way. Your number one charge is to determine if property owned by the district is surplus to the district's needs.
Right.
And I said that's specific on the district's needs. 100%, you can do that second step, which is, okay, it's surplus to the district needs. You don't need to own it. You're not going to ever need it for a school or for another purpose. We recommend X. And the recommend X, whatever X would be, could include in this one, for example, if the committee wanted to maintain the UC gardening, et cetera, master garden.
Okay, so we can go beyond just surplus, not surplus. We can say surplus and.
Yeah, and the vast majority of the settlement committees, we do that because we've done all this effort to learn about the property. Shouldn't we make some suggestions of what next use would be? And you're going to hear from people like me who says, okay, but don't sell it. And then again, what long-term is, keep the asset. You never know in 20 years what you might do.
Mr. McCarty. Yeah, a question.
I mean, I don't know if there's have been any discussion over, so like lease tends to work with multifamily residential communities, not for like townhomes for sale typically. I mean, most developers who develop townhomes and single family standalone homes want to sell that property. So I don't know if there's any discussions of the subtleties and also like what different markets kind of command.
Yeah, and the answer to that is, I won't say that you're describing the only exception. There are instances where we have a piece of property, we will never need it for a school. Can we enter into a long-term agreement with the developer where maybe they have a long-term lease, that they are going to sell it and have not rentals? Then you're right, it turns into, okay, then we have to contemplate, is it worth selling it? Because if it's selling it, the developer is going to say, I'm building these houses, but I'm not going to maintain it. It's not going to be like townhomes where we rent out or apartments. I'm selling them. We have to no longer own the property. Nobody's going to buy a house on a piece of land that has a long-term lease with the school district. They want to own the land.
And is it in the school district's interest to keep land that the DSA is really deeming is not suitable for schools again?
Only in the instance where it could be an asset that's generating income. But again, we have to balance this. We're not supposed to be speculating, on real estate. But if we have an asset that's generating income and we put the responsibility on the developer, that's better than selling it now for $4 million and that money's gone in a year. But
where does teacher housing fit into that? I know the district doesn't. Sorry, I can't hear you. Where does teacher housing, workforce housing fit into that? Because it's neither one nor the other.
Workforce
not a
housing
school, but it's also not selling the housing.
In the vast majority of workforce housing, they all look a little bit different. I think I'm working with 7 districts right now in the workforce housing, and it's all the rage right now. It's a way more complicated question. I don't mean to make a complicated answer, but yes, it's a potential option. Is it in the right area? And does the district have enough employees who are interested in living there? And then you got to make the numbers work. The numbers are really hard to work if the district's gonna fund it. Again, longer discussion, not really on the agenda, but I think it should be something that you could entertain. Again, ultimately, it's for the board to decide, but workforce housing. Well over half my districts who have surplus property, wondering, is this a good place for workforce teacher housing?
I guess maybe to clarify that question just a tiny bit is, if the committee wanted to do workforce housing, would you surplus it or not surplus it?
It depends on the property and what we think we might be needing to do with it. A little more complicated. Law was passed a couple of years ago. We now have to comply with the Surplus Land Act, which we didn't normally have to comply with the Surplus Land Act if we're gonna be surplusing the property. Do we have to surplus it for workforce housing? No, we do not have to surplus it for workforce housing. Is it potentially a benefit to us? Or his answer here, sorry, it depends. We're gonna have to look at the particular sites, what would be the use, and do we think we're gonna partner with somebody else? Are we gonna partner with a city or county or something else? So there are answers to it, but it's not a black and white answer, but it depends on the property and how we're gonna look at redoing it. Okay, you had a question?
Comment. I mean, in my experience working with nonprofit developers, construction costs are so high and holding costs for land, all these things that could happen, that they do prefer leases, but they also they prefer very low cost leases. Because they're already having a tough time as it is with the income that they are generating and whatever subsidies to command those values, which are market values that a market rate developer might pay, but not a affordable developer. So there's a distinction between values. There's kind of a and a B option, in my opinion, in the world out there. If land is free and offered to an affordable housing developer, they would take it all day long. If the land comes at a really high cost that a market rate developer can only pay, they won't pursue it.
And workforce housing doesn't fall into either one of those buckets. It's not market rate because your intent is to offer it to your employees for less. And it's not necessarily affordable housing because you're not going to comply with LIHTC tax benefits because you pay your teachers too much.
Not entirely, it can be combination deal. So like in the case of Berkeley, there's a number of above market rate units that had to be subsidized by the city and by a bond measure. And that's how that gap is covered. And then whatever was in the 30 to 80% area median income was covered by tax credits.
Yeah, talk to John a bit about that.
Yes.
Yeah, you did some arm wrestling with the city of Berkeley.
All right, so we have about 15 minutes left. That's
Yeah.
okay. I just want to make sure we make it
I'm
to
gonna totally dork
Seaview.
out on workforce housing if we let.
Well, it's also not
I know.
agendized.
Well, it's still
Well,
talking about the
yeah.
property. Yeah.
So Seaview, Seaview is another demolished school site. So this was previously an elementary school site. The main school buildings occupied, again, kind of the gray area. It is an interesting site because it does have for lack of a better word, a gulch. I don't know what would be formal, a creek. Okay, a creek that goes through the middle of it, which does go. Is at a different elevation than the rest of the property. So that's why you see the bridge. And so it is an interesting property. It is adjacent to a residential on one side, the bay on the other.
Forget the railroad tracks.
And the railroad tracks.
There's two sets of tracks. The one on the north, and then there's one on the south, and access to the site that's to the west is by a one-way road that goes under the trestle.
Good place for a school.
Right. Well, it's the smaller portion of the property. And not where the school was located. The school occupied this half of the property, but it does make it a complicated site to access.
And that's a city park next to it where that baseball building.
It's a county.
But it's a recreation area.
Yes, it's at the very end, if you're familiar with where Terra Hills Drive goes across San Pablo Avenue. There's some fields there, and there's the Montera Bay Community Center there. It's just off to the left of the picture.
Mr. Gosney?
Something that didn't show up in these things because they were put in earlier. East Bay Regional Parks was a sizable chunk of the northern section of there with the Bay Trail in there.
That's right.
So the size of the property, if that goes through, the size of the property that's available for whatever we do would be reduced.
There is a presentation by East Bay Regional Park District requesting an easement along, one side, that is the northern side.
Right.
To join ends of the, Bay Trail. Which, it would be,
16 feet wide.
so it, depending, if it was approximately 3/4 of an acre in total. 40 feet wide and then the length of the boundary.
Even if East Bay Regional Parks didn't develop it, Bay Commission most likely would require any developer to put in the Bay Trail section there.
Good point.
It would, they wouldn't allow construction probably without it.
But a developer could,
Logistics.
Hang on just a second, Ms. Thomas.
a developer could get credit for part of the park dedication requirements by doing improvements to the trail. So there's potential there.
Mr. Ranstein?
No.
Anyone else?
All right, so while we've been discussing the acreage, it's 7.7 acres. There, in the property description, it does describe the railroad tracks on both sides. We've already covered that. Title of the property was in 68. The school was built in 72. Portions of the property may be tidal or partially submerged. I believe that's mostly the smaller section.
Yeah.
The various utility easements again, CC&Rs, which we've now defined, limit the land use to a single family residential. Impacts of 2 railroad tracks adjoining properties, and then the East Bay Regional Parks. So we covered all the highlights of the title summary. Obviously, because that title summary, the residential low density single family homes on approximately 4.6 acres of the site assumes density match original parcel map showing approximately 21 new homes. No assumed value at this time for the property south of, oh, now we now have the name, Garrett Creek. Garrett Creek.
Correct.
Sorry, the lights have a really awesome way of denying me access to the middle of that word.
But I wanted to note, there's another section about the housing element. Identified about 274 units on this site. And that's ignoring the CC&Rs.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How big is the site?
Ms. Thomas, is that in the county master plan?
It's in the county housing element that Ellen will send out a link to.
Okay.
200 and something.
That includes the,
For single family.
the county's
I think they ignored the single family. So they
County
looked at
doesn't have a
more
portion.
well, I mean, they're,
Oh, no,
It goes up.
no, owned. It's this part and this part.
the railroad track.
just that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that part of their master plan, they might include their property. I know where I work, there's a whole swap currently that the city gave their parcel to the housing authority. The housing authority is building new units. When the construction is all done, a new park will be built where the old units used to be. So sometimes that sort of spot to make a master plan look better. I'm just wondering if that might be part of the element.
It could be.
You know, because
I believe that brings us to an end
undevelopable,
of
but it could be
the,
a park.
Mhm.
And that
I'm
part
sorry.
is-
which brings us to an end of the review of the properties. On our action items tonight, item E1, we have a vacancy due to the resignation of Miss Samantha Torres in the office of committee secretary. And I know I said just met, so your depth of knowledge around about each other is shallow. But nevertheless, we'd like to have an election of committee secretary, so we can have minutes generated as we go along and not find ourselves at the impasse we did last 2024, when the elections put us into suspension. So, I'd like to throw it open to nominations or questions.
Oh, just know we're down a man. I believe he
Uh,
went to the restroom. I don't know if he.
He'll be back.
Okay.
So, Mr. Rentier?
Yeah, I would like to nominate, Don Gosney, with, the committee's permission.
I'll second that. Serves him right for leaving.
That's right.
Yeah.
He wants to do it anyway.
There's the man of the hour.
So Mr. Rentier nominates Mr. Gosney and Ms. Toms seconds the nomination. Are there any other persons that would like to be considered for the position of committee secretary? Mr. Gosney, you have been nominated for the position of committee secretary. Is that acceptable to you?
Yeah, yes.
A
nice tone of enthusiasm over there.
Without objection. If there is no objection, then Mr. Gosney, you are hereafter officially 7-Eleven committee secretary.
They come with a salary or?
It will match mine.
All right. Parity, that's us.
Zero. Suffer.
All right, very good. And now we have to consider future dates. Now, everyone here obviously made this meeting. If this is an indicator of Thursday night's availability, then I would like to continue with Thursday nights, if that's acceptable. Mr. Gosney.
The second Thursday is my union meeting nights. I haven't missed one in 56 years, and I'm not gonna start now.
Okay, so the second Thursday.
Second Thursday.
You would like to eliminate that.
Yeah.
To eliminate the second Thursday or?
Eliminate for consideration for
Okay.
me.
And I can't do the first or third.
Can't be the
Okay.
first or the third?
So
I can't do the fourth.
All right, shall we discuss Tuesdays?
You got city council meetings, 3 of those, in 4 out of the 5 cities.
4 out of 5 cities.
Just for a point, Tuesdays and Thursdays are where a lot of public entities meet, so that's.
Yeah, our only well, let's see, we could try alternate Wednesdays when the school board is not meeting.
that works.
Yeah, I think West County wastewater, meets during those.
Do you meet during the day, as I recall, 0900,
No, 6,
1800?
yeah. On Wednesdays, but it's, so what date are you looking at this
Yeah,
month again?
we haven't gotten to date, we're just getting through the day of the week.
You're considering May.
I'll consider anything that will work.
Mondays may be more accessible.
How about next Thursday, the 21st?
No,
All right.
How frequent are we?
Excuse me, let's have a show of hands so we don't all talk over one another. So, I heard the day of the week, Monday mentioned. Just by show of hands, are Mondays a good day? If so, please raise your hand.
The CBOC meets on the 3rd
5, 6.
Monday of the.
We get 6,
Yeah.
7,
Okay, but can I ask a question?
9. Eli, yes.
It just matters if it's weekly or if we're talking about like once a month or every. It's like, what do we-
My personal experience with meetings is bi-weekly seems to work. Monthly, we tend to lose momentum.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
And do you have a sense of how long this is gonna last? Maybe we. It's,
How long will it last? When I was asked and accepted, they estimated the life of the committee is 3 months. That was in 2022. So I hesitate to give you a firm idea. However, procedurally, once you guys have reviewed the draft report, which is all part of your packet, and any minutes that are relevant, which is the task before us, then we have a we go forward with any changes to the draft report and go forward with a public hearing. At least one will satisfy the statute, but we might have more than one depending upon the areas that are affected. So perhaps two. Once we have satisfied those, then the report and the public input goes to the board. And so we make a presentation to the board. And at that point, we are done. So, use your best judgment. And I'm still working on days of the week. Mr. Rentila.
So, I mean, I asked earlier, we were at the point where we had already done the recommendations. We were just gonna finalize the minutes and go to the public hearing. Are we going to go through the motions all over again? Are we gonna explore each property all over again, even though we've already made the recommendation?
Well, let me frame it this way. That's the question. Actually, that question is tied exactly to what you asked, too. How often are you gonna meet? You could meet one more time, sign off on the report, do one more hearing and go to the board next month. That's a quick run. If we are still talking about what the form of the minutes should look like, how long they should be, what they should reflect, this is gonna last a little bit longer. As the chair said, there was a discussion, at least have two hearings, because there's at least enough areas to have two hearings.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming we can get through the minutes relatively quickly, and that's an open question.
But we're not gonna revisit the properties again.
You can revisit the properties if this committee decides it wants to. It doesn't have to. I would highly recommend that everyone on this committee, the new folks especially, read through that report. If there's things that are hiccups on it, or you got questions on it, write all over the margins. That should be the focus of the next meeting, is to determine, do we have to start redoing anything on this report? Because you are 8 new people, 7 at least new people. Or is it just some final tweaks and then we can start having hearings?
Chair, would you like to extend the meeting?
Oops, sorry. 7:59, I made it.
I know, but that's why.
I need to extend the meeting, can I have a motion to extend the meeting for such time as we're required to set the next meeting?
Make a motion to extend the meeting.
I'll second it.
Who seconded?
Okay,
I did.
moved and seconded to extend the meeting for such time as required to set the time for the next meeting. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, the motion is adopted. We will extend the time for the purpose of setting the date and time of the next meeting. Now, the last part of the discussion that I heard, someone in the group said Monday. Not hear an acclamation. Oh yeah, great idea. But if I could just see hands once again, Mondays.
For next Monday or Mondays?
2 weeks from now, let's see, so that would be not next Monday, but a week from the next Monday.
That's Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, scratch.
June 1st.
June 1st. June 1st. Yes, yes, yes.
I can get it.
Done. So our next meeting will be at this site at 1800, also known as 6 p.m., June 1st. And with that, I'd like to,
For 2 hours.
for 2 hours, and,
Thank you. Yes.
and I would, like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
It's been moved, seconded, we adjourn the meeting. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sure, the data
I'd
was.
like to verify our emails before we leave.
Sure, if you've received, emails from me, then we're good to go. But if you have not, or if you want to change which one I have on record, please do so.